Hi everyone, how's everyone doing here today? Thank you for watching, and today I wanted to talk about and elaborate more on some of the recent things I've discussed in the past. Things from political violence to stochastic terrorism, and it relates to some of the recent sentences we've seen for specifically members of the Proud Boys who were involved in January 6th, the insurrection where Trump rightfully lost the election. Anyhow, I don't have their exact names or the precise details, but some of them got some pretty stiff sentences. They were found guilty. I believe it was the leader who was sentenced to 22 years, and another one of the members got about 10 years. Okay? And I don't know if there was any remorse or not. One of them was, the one that got 10 years, was supposedly trying to put on a story that he regretted the decision, got swept up in the moment. Maybe that's the case, I agree, but when he realized it didn't do anything and he realized how much time he had to serve, he screamed out, "Trump won." Okay, so, which we know is not true. It's a lie, okay? Let's face facts. And here's my big takeaway from the whole thing, which I've, again, talked about before. And my question is to them, to the Proud Boys, to the people that are currently in jail, was it worth it? Was it really worth it? I know some of you right off the bat would say yes. I have no way of talking to these people, but I'm hoping there's some supporters out there that might be able to give me a clear answer. Was it really worth it? Okay? Because let's pretend for 1 minute they kind of succeeded on a much greater level than what you saw on January 6th. They broke into the Capitol, they eliminated Pence, they eliminated Pelosi and maybe some other members, and supposedly did away with the Electoral College. That wouldn't necessarily be the end of it, and Trump would automatically be reinstated. Okay? We could also speculate on whether or not he would be and what would happen after that, although we have a pretty good idea already, even though we may not have had at that time. But what I don't understand is that, and here's my bigger point, we're seeing a party and also an individual, Donald Trump, who, as always, says, I don't know if this was before or after January 6th, but he says, "I don't know the Proud Boys, I never heard of them." Really? Okay, meanwhile, he was the one who gave them marching orders during the debate with Biden, where he said, "Stand back and stand by." Well, congratulations, you guys listened to him. And you followed his marching orders, and now some of you are facing some serious jail time. Was it worth it? Okay? I'm giving you a tough lesson here, okay? To me, no, it wasn't. Because one, it changed nothing, but it left, it kind of tarnished our country. It leaves a stain in the history books that we didn't really have to have. And I realized, the head of them was, gloating, during a group selfie, taking videos, saying, "Yeah, this is a day we'll live in infamy." What are you, FDR? What, are you kidding me? You're now doing 22 years of your life in jail. I mean, just as a joke, I would have said you should have done it the way I did. Just, register for a tour guide, go in there, it's free, doesn't cost you anything, except maybe the expense to get there and back, depending on where you live. And afterwards, you get to leave. Maybe you don't get as wide of a view of the inner workings of the Capitol as you'd like, but at least you get to see it. And the kicker, you don't have to go to jail. From what I've seen, now that Trump is out of office, he just can't shut up. And he's complaining about his indictments. Now he's using you all to get money to pay his legal fees, which I talked about before, which that makes no sense. He could easily pay them himself. He's got you guys doing it for him, and you guys do it. And I can't wrap my head around that. Because what we've seen from the GOP, and especially the, sycophants of Trump, which I'll get into, I cannot think of any bills or anything they have passed that, since Trump was out of office, have helped the American people in any way. Okay? What I have seen is this is push for fascism from the sycophants, which in certain states, namely Florida, which has led to book banning, more strict abortion laws, de-educating the people there, trying to erase certain aspects of history, specifically, African American history, which is just a sign of bigotry, which allows that to spread. And overall, Trump himself says, if he gets back in office, He's going to ensure that increase all the presidential powers, pretty much leaving him in just about control of everything. Okay? So he can pretty much bend the will. Now, on the surface, that may sound great. To some of you guys, especially the ones in prison, might think, yeah, that's a good thing. Well, how does that help you? Think about it really. How does it really help you? The GOP hasn't done anything lately as far as anything to do with the living wage, nothing to do with health care. Yeah, they brag about certain accomplishments like infrastructure when it gets passed by Biden, but they all voted against that. Okay? There are things like benefits for veterans, which they voted against. There was a bill not too long ago about child care, which has caused an increase in childhood poverty, which, had that bill passed, might have helped bring that down. Instead, it's going up. And the Republicans, they all voted against that. Student loan debt, they went against that. Now they got a conservative Supreme Court that shut that down, okay? Because of people put in place by Trump and other Republicans. Yeah, you too, Mitch McConnell, is just to blame for that as well. So in addition to take away rights, they're, making life harder for the American people when it should be just the opposite. So what's the upside for you? I'm not just referring to the Proud Boys or the people that actually went to jail, certain members of the Oath Keeper did, and just other people who bought into this big lie and pretty much threw their lives away. True, granted, some of you got much smaller sentences because you didn't break the law as severely as others did, but you still went to jail. Okay? Nobody's getting a pardon. Nobody's getting bailed out. While you're all paying Trump's legal fees for the one member of the Proud Boys who went to jail for 22 years, I would imagine he had to hire a lawyer. Did anybody pay his legal fees? Did Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert or Matt Gaetz or Jim Jordan or Josh Hawley, some of the people that were pretty in favor of January 6th, did they chip in for your legal fees? I don't think so. So what did you get out of it besides a jail sentence? Yeah, you get your little video to look back on and brag, but was it really worth it? Because you didn't change anything, and if by some miracle you had, you wouldn't reap any of the rewards. Yeah, you would have your fascist leader in charge, but what good does that do you? I've asked this time and time again in the past, what has the GOP done lately that's benefited you? Look at some of the sycophants who were, again, in support of January 6th, or making excuses saying, it was Antifa, which it wasn't. It was Black Lives Matter, which it wasn't. It was a peaceful protest, which it wasn't. Yeah, it was a little bad, but it wasn't an insurrection. BS. It was an insurrection. Period. It's about time you guys just accept that. Some of you already have. At CPAC, you put up that sign, we're all domestic terrorists. Is that really the image you want? Because where does that get you? Marjorie Taylor Greene, what has she done for you lately? She's right now lately still putting hints at civil war, still encouraging that some states should secede. Really. That talk went back in with Texas, I believe it was. You know what I say? Do it. Succeed. Go ahead. I dare you to. I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm just saying go ahead. If you really feel that strongly about it and you want to be your own separate state or your own separate country, whatever you decide to call yourselves, and isolate yourself from the other 49 states, go for it. She's leaning more towards red states, I would imagine. Red states, a lot of them lie heavily on federal aid. Well, you wouldn't have that anymore if you seceded. Does your state have what it takes to sustain itself independently? Because the U.S. won't be there to help you, unless maybe there's some agreement, which I don't think you'll be leaning for, or I don't think they'll be going for. Texas, all you got is Mexico. You want to get help from them? Good luck with that. With the way Greg Abbott's been behaving, let's see how that works out. So the whole secession thing, that is just a stupid idea. But we're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, so what do you expect? And like I said before, the ones who've been screaming lately about civil war, you have, in addition to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, I believe, has mentioned it. We heard it recently from Sarah Palin, another degenerate. Oh, and Mike Huckabee, also a degenerate. If a civil war was to somehow erupt, you would be going up against the military. And do you think any of these people are going to take up arms to help you, assuming you're foolish enough to do that? I wouldn't be surprised if some of you actually did, all right? I'd like to think some of you are smarter and would use better judgment. And I could be wrong. Maybe you are smarter and you've learned a few things. But from what I'm seeing, not so much. There are some extremists out there who still do foolish things, which I've tried to discourage people from doing. But it's civil war, okay? Let's say come the election in 2024 when Trump loses, which most likely he'll lose if his legal woes don't catch up to him. What then? You're going to try and storm the Capitol a second time? Yeah. To like Proud Boys and hate groups, the ones that didn't go to jail. You want to make a second attempt at that? What do you think that's going to be like? You don't think the Capitol Police will be mobilized? You don't think the National Guard will be mobilized and other branches of the military? You don't think other federal buildings out there like the FBI and other places, they're not going to be on high alert, expecting trouble? You think if you show up there with an automatic weapon, or any weapon for that matter, they're just going to go easy on you? No. It has been tried recently by some foolish people. Okay? During the time of one of Trump's indictments, you know, the whole defund the FBI because the party of law and order, you know, cares about laws unless it impacts them. In other words, the law for thee but not for me. We're free to do whatever we want, but you guys, you have to answer to us. You have to answer to the law. Well, he tried a little assault on the FBI with an automatic weapon. Now he's dead. Threw his life away for nothing. Was it worth it? One person, there was another person who made death threats, put everything on social media. Well, FBI got wind of it, went out to him. Now he's gone. Threw his life away for nothing. Was it worth it? You're fighting for a GOP that's not doing anything for you. Like I said, I can't stress that enough. In another instance, some woman also made some threats against the president. She got arrested. Now, you know, she's facing criminal charges. Was it worth it? Say what you will about Biden. I have issues with him too. He's made a lot of mistakes, but he's also done a lot of accomplishments, which is way more than I can say for Trump when he was in office. Now that he's out of office, he's just self-indulging himself. The only reason he's running for trying to get another run at the presidency is that that's pretty much his final card that he can play to get away from these legal fees. And he's got you all paying his legal bills. So why shouldn't he run for president? It's easy for him. But you guys, you get the short end of the stick. You don't reap any of the rewards, you don't get anything out of that, and the evidence is right out there. I'm not just speculating. We are seeing this happen before our eyes with the current GOP, and you think Trump in office again is going to change that? No. He's just going to insulate himself, and then once he's solidified his security, continue to take away the rights from the American people, continue to grift, continue to self-indulge himself. It is happening, even though he's not the president. And why you guys can't see that is beyond me. I'm not somebody that has any deep insight. I'm just opening my eyes and looking at what's going around. Okay? If any politician asked me to do anything foolish like storm the Capitol, I would be like, no, because he's not looking out for me. January 6th, he wasn't looking out your best interests. He just puts out buzzwords or says things to get you guys all riled up, lied about the election, so you guys would do his dirty work for him, in the hopes of that he might get something out of it, which he didn't, because he didn't succeed. You still believe in voter fraud? Really? Well, let's talk about that one. Since the Georgia case with Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, and Sidney Powell. Sidney, not too long ago on Fox, admitted that I believe it was during the Dominion lawsuit, where she said, well, only reasonable people would believe her. So if you believe her, what is she claiming? That you're unreasonable? That you're unintelligent? Because that's what it sounds like. Jen Ellis admitted, that they didn't have any evidence, and Rudy Giuliani's doing the same thing. The only two people I can think of that keep carrying on election lies is Donald Trump and Carrie Lake. And the same spiel. There's all this evidence and stuff like that, and we have yet to see it. It's only been 3 years. What's taking so long? He's in court right now, facing, several indictments. You think we would have seen some of this evidence by now, but some of you people choose to cling to that lie. And there is absolutely no proof of it. There isn't. Okay? Trump lost the election fair and square. Joe Biden beat him fair and square. That's a simple fact. You can deny it all you want. And there's some people that say, oh, well, there's proof. Well, if you got proof, by all means, bring it to your local DA. And if it brings up charges, then by all means, do what you got to do. Because unlike some of you, I believe in accountability for our politicians, up to and especially including the President of the United States. So the whole voter thing was a lie, and you guys invaded the Capitol for nothing. You didn't succeed, and even if you did, you wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. And now a bunch of you are doing jail time. Are we learning yet? Is it really worth it? Because I don't think it is. Because I wouldn't want to spend any time in jail for any politician, especially a corrupt one, a grifter, who isn't even a politician. He's just some reality TV star who likes to scam people. Okay? Like I said, he's doing this all out in the open, and for the life of me, you guys don't see it. And it's right there in plain sight. Chances are any of the MAGA supporters aren't going to see this video, and even if they do, they're just going to continue making excuses to defend this guy in the cult-like state that it is. It is a cult. How do I know? Because if the tables were turned, if, like I've said before, using similar examples, if Hillary Clinton had done the same thing in 2016 when she lost, if myself and a bunch of Hillary supporters went to DC and we stormed the Capitol, and now I find myself in prison, say, facing 10 to 20 years in jail, what would you say about me? Would you say, would you describe me as being smart, dedicated? Would you call me a patriot? No. You would say I'm a criminal. You would say I'm an absolute fool, that I fell for her lies, and you know, I got what I deserved. And I would probably agree with you. You'd be right to say that. But to all the others, you guys are just looking in the cult-like state saying, oh, they're being mistreated. No, they're not. Oh, well, they shouldn't be in jail, you know, they should be free, they're patriots. No, they're not. They do belong in jail. And the FBI is still rounding up people, okay? They haven't stopped, they keep going. There's going to eventually be more arrests, and I imagine more convictions as to who and the severity, that has yet to be seen. But we're seeing some now pretty stiff jail sentences going out. And like I said, are you learning yet? Are you not seeing the big picture? Maybe you don't like Biden, that's fine, but in Trump, your fates are pretty much sealed, where you stand to lose more rights, if not everything, and he's going to reap the rewards himself. More tax cuts for the wealthy, more benefits to the wealthy donors. And he's going to keep himself in power as long as he can. Maybe some of you just don't care. Maybe some of you are in that cult-like state where you just say, yeah, I want to keep serving Donald Trump. I want to go into civil war. Well, like I said before, make sure you got a good lawyer and make sure your affairs are in order, because that route leads to either prison or an early grave. I don't want to see any of that happen. I really don't. I'm really hoping people will learn, you know. You're going to keep voting for him? Okay, then. The majority is going to vote against him, because we see past his BS. We see past the lies, and we see him for what he is. Somebody who used you guys as tools to do his dirty work just so he can benefit himself. And in the end, you get nothing. You lose. It's one thing to lose the election. It's another thing to throw your life away, whether in jail or for death. It is not worth it. Okay? I'm really hoping some of you will learn something from all this. I'm really hoping some of you will start to wake up and look at the big picture, because after a while, it's pretty obvious. I see it. Why don't you? So, anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you understand, because it's important that you do.